My country has an unresolved and devastating epidemic. Illicit drugs, they are ruining and ending many lives. My country, Liberia, is racing against time as many youths succumb to addictions. But how do you know that a drug is sold in a community? Sneaker on the power line addicts fighting for redemption in a country that has gone through 14 years of severe crisis. My name is Winnell Shasha, and this documentary is with Mema Wright. This is the police barracks in Monrovia's capital city, where you can see a pair of sneakers on a power line. A few blocks away is the Liberia National Police headquarters, and despite the sneakers on the power line, it is uncertain if the police are aware. Or are they the ones making profits from the place where we see the sneakers? The fight against illicit drugs in Liberia is challenging and an overwhelming kind of undertaking. Liberia passed its legal framework to address the issue. The Senate categorized drug crime into two categories, making it non-bailable and bailable, depending on the gravity of the crime. The Senate says those involved in the importation, distribution, massive production, and custody of illicit drugs shall not be granted the right to bail when caught in the act. In contrast, the end users of the drug shall have the right to bail when apprehended in the front. But how effective will the implementation be as such? Traffickers, users, and others may take advantage of that weakness, causing a severe problem in my country. Substance abuse is increasing at an alarming rate, causing health problems and an increase in criminal activity, hampering productivity, destroying relationships, eroding social and moral values, and impeding the overall progress of societies. Young people are becoming hostages of substance abuse, increasing their vulnerability gradually. Monrovia hosts many addicts, men, women, and even children. They confirmed that if you see sneakers on the power line, you are getting the message to everyone that drugs are available in that area. Cannabis remains the most widely used illicit substance in the African region. The highest prevalence is being reported in West and Central Africa, with rates between 5.2% and 13.5% of the population, according to the WHO. The core fabric of my country is being destroyed. Sam Knowles speaks on addiction and how it affects humans.
The program that we have set to lead you from addiction to recovery, and so you can be fully reintegrated into mainstream life, mainstream society. So it's a challenging task, but then I also want you to know that it's something that can be done. It's challenging for the person, and accepting that can be, for the person accepting that can be one of the greatest challenges that we have here. That they accept that you got to sit down here for the next 1 to 6 months recovering. It can be very, very challenging for us. Getting the person to submit to that, is the most challenging thing we find doing it.
Sivas Tuedle played professional football, but at an early age, he got addicted to drugs through his cousin. He says for over 18 years, he believed he must take the substance before serving between goalposts.
I want to say to them that all is not lost. I pray that God Almighty will work in that direction so that they can be like me today. Because in the past, when we were in the past, we been condemned. But today, at least to a stage that people who used to condemn us, calling us to sit with them. I was a player. I came to have one of my big brothers who was mine 2nd division at that time, was mine 3rd division. You understand it? He started with opium. Say, my man, the thing that was made to be smack me in the goalpost. Like, yeah, I can tell. You were one of the famous goalkeepers. I was mine 3rd division, play television, no pay, nothing. How will I get glove to go, man? How will I get boots to go, man? How will I get office to go, man? So I took him as my role model at that time. So when he introduced me to opium, from opium we start going in one zing horse in New Britain. Where we go, he will buy the thing, he rub it. At that time, I was not too new, he rub it on the plate, they call it cottage. Now, my guy don't know it, they call it cottage, rub it, put the grass inside, face it, you get my own of one swing. To the point when you go practice, you be on top of thing. I play with Snotty Lamford, Tapo Sankali, you understand, Vitality. These are all Munster players that are calling. They are my peer group. We overcome and play for television team. Go on drugs. I did it, I left it, I went to the 4. I started rolling. So it was no longer that I would interact with people. They would just take everything from you. You made to lose all value. Even if my friend offer me boosters, if I go practice, I will take that boot, I will sell it, just go and smoke.
Like Cephas, Richie Liu has a similar story. He was an addict and spent over 10 years in the city graveyard using substances.
I'm great here because if I think about my past, by the hour I'm loitering on a dump site just to get an income to go support my drug addicted habit. I've been ragged about 6 years in the habit.
The Liberia Drugs Enforcement Agency is the government institution responsible for regulating these activities in the country. When questioned by the media on the situation, Mark Adesi has this to say.
Anywhere you see that sneakers hanged over the wire, the electric wire, it means around that vicinity there is a drug activities around there. Either a drug sale activity around there, or maybe a quote unquote a drug cartel being organized around that area. But all is intended to show to the drug dealers, the drug traffickers that this area is where we can go to get drugs.
The government and its partners launched a national fund drive to rehabilitate at-risk youth in Liberia. D. Zoga Wilson, the Ministry of Youth and Sports, and the Ministry of Finance Development Planning says that the growing number of young people on drugs and the number of young people living on the streets means that a whole generation may not reach its full potential.
What this means specifically is that the government will take a new law and issue through the national budget processes. What it means also is that our development partners will take a more holistic sector approach as they identify resources for commitment to solve this problem. What it also means is that private actors will redouble their efforts and take a new comprehensive look to develop a solution for this problem. We are raising consciousness and developing a consensus for this critical problem.
These are numbers that you see there of drugs coming in this country, and this is credited to the DEA, who provided the statistics for us. The estimated number of ghettos in Liberia, 10,000 plus. So there's a slow problem that we need to address. Because when these ghettos are not living, we ready to see them. They will know who find themselves. And we as a country and government have a responsibility to address it, and now that the president has all forward on this, making sure that they do something about it.
Despite the critical situation, there is concern over the delay in kickstarting the initiative. The delay from the government has pushed many faith-based institutions like the Liberation Center run by Sam Noel and Partners to Help Addicts. Rachel Liu and Cephas are members of the Liberation Center and are now grateful to the organization for their recovery. Getting into addiction is one thing, leaving it behind is another, and many remains addicts.
I've been wishing for change. Usually when I was in the ghetto, I've been eager that one day I'll be a changed person, but that change is going to take place one day. So it's been a process. The transformation is all about acceptance and willingness. And I was waiting that very day, which was April, when they first opened this home. And that's the time I accepted transformation. 2022 April.
Cephas regrets the years spent in the drug ghettos. He has been baptized and continues his outreach in ghettos to bring his peers to rehabilitation.
Making me to go out there to talk to my friends and understand it. And I feel proud, I want to do it. If I have the resources to extend it big, and understand it, I want to do it to make sure my brother and sister that I left in the ghetto. Because I'm from the ghetto, I know the disadvantage, I know the pain, I know how it feels to be in the ghetto, I know how you can be overlooked, how you can be abused in the ghetto.
One person he was successful with was his maternal cousin, Cecilia Taylor. She spent 17 years in addiction. She says that Cephas has led her to rehabilitation.
Cephas that was in the ghetto with me, they took him to the rehabilitation center about Corway. So when he went, he came back, he looked good, taking people care of him. First cousin of mine, who children, and I called my brother, he come for me. So when he came, I cried to him. I said, I'm tired, my brother. Take a look at me from 2005 to 2022. I'm in the ghetto. I'm getting gray hair on my head. So I'm tired with this life. So I'm going to get me out of the ghetto.
Cephas is back home with his family. Black Caucus wants the government to continue tackling substance abuse.
And the people that are bringing their substance here in the country, when they bring it, they hold them to the border. They see government can take them and carry them up to the office. And when they carry them to the office, they would make the people to bribe them and give them the same judge and bring it and sell it to us. And really telling the government to really try and take this from among us. And so long as substance stay among us, we the youth will spoil.
Even when early this year, Liberian security impounded 520 kg of cocaine worth $100 million US, it was reportedly burned.
Which was executed on October 1, 2022, leading to the seizure of $100 million US worth of pure cocaine.
Addicts in Liberia continue to rise, which means the streets are less safe and there is an increase in robberies. This is why Cephas is leading the campaign to give addicts hope.
So I want to work with disadvantaged youth in this country